You know, it's one of those places you can't get there from here. First, you got to go to Connecticut, and then you got to go there. So Lewiston, Maine is a tiny little town up on the border near Canada.
Can you see by the dawn's early light?
Our thanks to Robert Goulet, the very wonderful vocalist, and of course Charles Sonny Liston, the challenger, is in the ring with his white, short terry cloth robe, as you see. He's ready to put the big gloves on, and Cassius Clay now bouncing in from the dressing room on the far side of the arena as Cassius again, loose and limber, with his very short terry cloth robe, coming into the ring, up the ring stairs, and he's being booed. Angelo Dundee, Drew Brown, Bodini, right in that picture. Dundee walked out of it momentarily.
Wearing black trunks, he weighs 215 1/4, the former heavyweight champion, and now the challenger, Sonny Liston.
Sonny Liston, very popular with the folks here in Lewiston, Maine. No kidding about that.
His opponent from Louisville, Kentucky. He's wearing white trunks. He weighs 206. The heavyweight champion of the world, Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, better known as Cassius Clay.
Well, Muhammad naturally embraced the Muslim faith. I always look for the east corner because you pray towards Mecca and to the east. And I found that out. See how intelligent I got about religion? I was learning every day.
The world heavyweight title, the big fight, the big night, unusual locale, Lewiston, Maine, round number 1. They score the fight here in a 10-point must scoring system in Maine. We're waiting for that bell for round 1. Here we go. You'll note that Cassius wants to stay out in the center of the ring where he happens to be the king. Sonny Liston in the dark trunks is chasing that man straight away. Is that a mistake? Knockdown, ladies and gentlemen, a right-hand shot. A right-hand shot on the chin. Jersey Joe Walcott. Sonny cannot move. Check the time.
Cassius Clay, known as Muhammad Ali, was born in Louisville, Kentucky on January 17, 1942. He is the firstborn son of Cassius Marcellus Clay and Edessa Grady. He has a brother, Rudolph Valentino Clay, 2 years younger. His father was a painter of signs, womanizer, and popular in the community figure, liked to dance, act, and sing. His mother, who kept much respect and affection, it was a friendly woman who was devoted to domestic service eventually. Unfortunately, Cassius grew up in a very violent family, mainly for the sake of his father with the alcohol. He grew up under the religious instructions of Baptist Church. Christine Martin, wife of John Martin, recalls as a very friendly young man. He preferred to read the Bible, to wander as the other boys did when they went all travel to participate in sporting events. In fact, said that he was rather shy, but at Center High School, where he was studying, he was known for his obsession to boxing, so it took much care, their health and training too much, apart from the fact that was the only thing that could keep him away from the violent environment in which he lived. With his schoolmates, Cassius behaved restless and was very funny, but distracted and meditative in classes. In his word, an event that marked his life was the murder of the young African-American Emmett Till, caused by the simple fact of having whistled at a white-skinned woman. Although he was afraid of airplanes, but it was necessary to go in one to the Olympic Games. Already during the development of the Games, became one of the most popular athletes in Olympic Village. According to Angela Dundee, when Ali was a guy, he was eager to learn everything about boxing. In addition, never opponents intimidate him, and although he was a joker, always trying to behave like a gentleman. The coach also asserted that Muhammad was not the type of person that liked to do her recommendations directly, so that Dundee was the way to do this in disgust point. It is also said that he had no fondness for alcohol, liked to train with much eagerness, and refused to be accompanied by bodyguards.
In 1963, Cassius Clay had become the top contender for Sonny Liston's title. The fight was set for February 25 in 1964. Liston had a criminal past and ties to the mob. Clay was a towering and braggart. Clay taunted Liston during the pre-fight build-up, nicknamed him the Big Ugly Bird. Liston smelled like a bird. I'm going to nail him to a zoo. He declared that he would float like a butterfly and stick like a bee. The outcome of the fight was one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. At the opening bell, Liston rushed at Clay, seemingly angry and looking for a quickly knockout. But Clay's superior speed and mobility enabled him to elude Liston, making the champion miss wildly and looking outward. At the end of the first round, Clay opened up his attack and hit Liston repeatedly with sharp jabs to the amazement of the crowd. Liston fought better in round 2, but at the beginning of the third round, Clay hit Liston with a combination that backled his knees and opened a cut under his left eye. The first time Liston had ever been cut. Clay rested in round 4, but as he became to his corner at the end of the round, he began experiencing burning pain in his eyes and asked his trainer Angelo Dunn to cut off his gloves, and he refused. Despite Liston's attempt to knock out a bleeding Clay was able to survive the 5th round until sweat and tears rinsed the irritation from his eyes. In the 6th, Clay dominated, hitting Liston virtually at will. Liston did not answer the bell for the 7th round, and Clay was declared the winner by technical knockout. Then, during the now infamous in-ring interview following the match, Clay shouted, "I shut up the world. I talk to God every day. I must be the greatest."
After the fight with Liston, his life changed a lot. This after he gives a press conference where he announces that already he will not call Cassius Clay, because it was a name of a slave. At the moment his name will be Cassius X. Later on his name will be Muhammad Ali. This decision will cause a refusal of the American white society. For a long time Malcolm X was the side of Cassius Clay. He was accompanying him always, but one day Malcolm X has a crisis with the Islamic Nation and he decides to leave this organization. Malcolm X wants that Cassius leaves also the organization, but in that moment the leader Islamic gives to Cassius X a very significant name for this one, Muhammad Ali, obtaining of this form to retain him in the organization. Muhammad Ali discovers that he had influence on the people, especially when he traveled to Africa and the world was acclaiming him. In 1966, in full war of the North Americans with Vietnam, Ali is called to enlist in the army and to be going to fight, but he is not in opposing to the Vietnamese. He didn't want to go to Vietnam, but he was searching and they prevented him voicing. He had to leave the voicing, but turned in a very popular personage with great social influence. Years later, he continued boxing, but in 1980 the doctors detected Parkinson's disease to him and he has to hang his gloves. In 1996 he ignited the Olympic flame in the Stadium of Atlanta. In Norway he is present at numerous charitable acts, especially related to his disease. He is an example for many people who suffer degenerative disease. Now we know why they were calling him the racist.